now I will be guiding you through the contents of this video. So first off, we'll start off with our person of the week, and here's a hint, it will be space related. Second, we will have a clip of a person doing a loophole of something he's told to do. Third, we will discuss a space mission. Fourth, I'll put in a clip of a dog. And lastly, I'll be explaining how Newton's physics laws explain rocket behavior. So without further ado, enjoy the show. Alright, we now have our person of the week, which is this guy.
I'm John Harrington. I'm the first Native American to go to space. I went on the Space Shuttle Endeavour on the STS-113 mission to work on the ISS. As a kid, I always dreamed of being an astronaut but never thought I'd actually be one. During college, I got into rock climbing and got so distracted with it to the point where I dropped out of college. Luckily, I got jobs as a rock climber and roofer and stuff. But my boss told me that I should be doing more with my life, so I went back to college and got a degree in electrical engineering. I eventually applied for a job as a NASA astronaut. I guess I mainly was interested in being an astronaut because of my family's background in engineering, and I found the ISS to be the ultimate construction project. I got the job. I had a lot of fun in space and wish I could go back. The universe is giant. There's so much out there, which is why I believe in alien life. Thank you for your time.
Okay, class, who can write down a proof of the Pythagorean theorem?
Me, teacher, I can.
Okay, Charles, come on up.
Huh?
Charles, I think you may have misunderstood the question.
No, sir, I understood it perfectly well.
Okay, how?
Simple. 30 minutes ago, I have created a language called chair soda. Cool, right? Anyway, you never told me which language to interpret your commands in, nor whether I should interpret them consistently with the same language or not. So, when you said, "Who can write down a proof of the Pythagorean theorem?" I interpreted that as a command in chair soda. When translated to English, you asked me, "Who can write down a type of animal?" So I did, and this time in English. You're welcome.
Before we proceed to the next segment, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. So our mission of the week is Artemis 2. It's expected to launch no earlier than September 2025. In this image, we have the crew and the crew module they'll be using in their flight. So some background information if you didn't already know so, is that the general purpose of the Artemis missions is to get humans back on the moon, inhabit it, and then potentially use this for future space explorations such as inhabiting Mars. So the main purpose of Artemis 2 specifically is to test the Orion spacecraft with the crew to prepare for the Artemis 3 mission and future Artemis missions in general. So this is the Orion spacecraft. This image is taken from, or was taken from, the launch from Artemis 1, and yes, the spacecraft will be the same Orion spacecraft. So the general way of how the mission will go is that for starters, the Orion spacecraft will launch, then it will orbit Earth, then it's going to go around the moon, not in orbit, and then it will return to Earth. So the way this will work is that this is like free trajectory, so an orbit of the moon won't be necessary. The spacecraft will just be going around the moon and use its gravity to slingshot back to Earth. So some companies involved or agencies involved include NASA, the ESA, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Aerojet Rocketdyne, Teledyne Brown Engineering. We will now be discussing how Newton's laws of motion can describe rocket behavior and explain rocket behavior. So, Newton's first law of motion is that objects at rest will stay at rest and objects in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an external force. So, this tells us that rockets will not randomly start moving. Thrust generated by rockets allows them to move. Gravity pulls rockets down, so rockets must produce consistent force when under significant effects of Earth's gravity. And rockets in orbit don't need engines to be consistently on because they were already moving and have limited effects by Earth's gravity. So Newton's second law of motion can be represented as force equals mass times acceleration, and acceleration equals force divided by mass. So this tells us that as mass and acceleration of thrust produced by a rocket increases, the force it exerts on the ground allows it to move increases, which allows it to move increases. This also tells us that the acceleration of a rocket increases with greater thrust exerted but decreases with greater mass of the rocket. And Newton's third law of motion is that every force has an equal and opposite force. So this tells us that when thrust exhaust is shot out by a rocket, the thrust is exerted in a certain direction, leading to a force pushing the rocket in the opposite direction. Thank you for watching this week's video. I upload every Sunday at about 6 p.m. EST. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week.